There is a man you might know. He wakes up before his alarm. He is already thinking about money before his feet hit the floor. He works harder than anyone in his circle. He sacrifices weekends. He skips vacations. He prays. He gives. He does everything he was told to do. And still, at the end of every month, the numbers don't match the effort. Not even close. Maybe that man is you. And if it is, I need you to understand something before we go any further. The reason your finances are stuck is not your work ethic. It is not the economy. It is not your education, your network, your neighborhood, or your timing. The reason is spiritual, and it has a specific name, a name that the Torah addresses with more urgency than murder, more severity than theft. A sin so disguised, so normalized, that most people commit it dozens of times before they finish their first cup of coffee in the morning. I am going to tell you exactly what that sin is. And I am going to give you the method to remove it, step by step, starting tomorrow morning. But I need you to stay with me, because if you leave before I give you the name, you will walk away carrying it without knowing it. And that is the most dangerous place you can be. There is something you need to understand first, something that will make the revelation land with full force when it comes. And I promise you, by the time I finish, you will never hear yourself speak about money the same way again. If you have never been on this channel before, I want you to hit subscribe right now. What I teach here is not motivation. It is not positive thinking. It is Torah law applied to the financial reality of your daily life. The teachings I bring are specific, they are ancient, and they are tested. Subscribe and stay close, because this conversation is the beginning of something that will follow you for years. Now, let me ask you something honest. When was the last time you looked at your bank account and felt peace? Not relief that it was still positive. Not numbness. Actual peace. The kind that says, I am provided for. I am taken care of. What I have is enough, and more is coming. Most people listening to me right now cannot remember that feeling. And some have never had it at all. They have had moments of temporary relief. A payment arrived. A debt was covered. A crisis was averted, but not peace. Never the kind of settled, deep knowing that says, abundance is my portion. Instead, there is the hum. That low, constant, never fully silent hum of financial anxiety. It follows you into the shower. It follows you into your sleep. It sits in the background of family dinners, of conversations with your spouse, of prayers you try to say with a clean heart, but always with one ear turned toward the problem. You are exhausted. Not from the work, you are used to work. You are exhausted from the distance between what you give and what you receive, between what you deserve and what appears, between who you are and what your account says about you. And here is what makes it worse. You look around. You see someone, maybe someone you know personally, who doesn't work as hard, who doesn't sacrifice as much, who doesn't pray, doesn't give, doesn't discipline themselves the way you do. And they seem to attract money without effort. Opportunities appear for them. Doors open. And you are left asking a question you may not even say aloud. Why them and not me? That question, hold it, because I am going to answer it completely. But first I need to dismantle something you have been told. You have been told that financial struggle is a matter of strategy. Budget better. Save more. Invest sooner. Develop your skills. Build your network. And none of that is false. None of it. But here is what the Torah teaches that the financial world has completely missed, completely ignored, and completely failed to account for. There is a condition of the soul that, when present, renders every external strategy ineffective. Not less effective, completely ineffective, like building on sand, like pouring water into a vessel with a hole at the bottom. You work, you strategize, you execute, and it disappears. Because the problem is not in the plan. The problem is in what you are carrying internally, and it operates at a level that no spreadsheet can reach. The ancient sages of Israel were precise about this. A righteous man can follow every law of prosperity, give the tithe, honor the Sabbath, be honest in business, and still not see the fruit of his obedience. Not because God is withholding, not because the universe is unfair, but because there is a spiritual law operating underneath all of that, a law that governs whether the channel through which blessing flows is open or sealed. And that channel can be sealed by one thing. One specific sin, committed daily, unconsciously, by people who believe they are doing everything right. I know what you want to ask. What is it? What is the name? Stay with me for just a moment longer. Because if I give you the name without giving you the mechanism, it will bounce off of you. You will think you understand it. You will think it doesn't apply to you, and you will leave unchanged. The sages did not teach this as a name alone. They taught it as a law, and I will do the same. Before I go deeper, I need to know something. Are you the kind of person who just watches? Or are you the kind of person who acts on what they hear? Because what I am about to show you only works for the second kind. If you are ready to receive this, type in the comments right now, I am ready. Not for me, for yourself, as a declaration that you are still here, that you are open, and that you intend to apply what you receive. Do it now, then keep watching, because what comes next is where everything changes. Here is what I need you to understand about how spiritual law works in relation to money. The Torah teaches that abundance is not a reward for effort. Abundance is a flow, like water flowing through a pipe. The water does not care whether the pipe deserves it. It flows where it can flow and stops where it is blocked. Your job, your only job, spiritually, is to keep the pipe clear, not to earn the water, to keep the channel open. And the sin I am about to reveal to you is the most efficient channel blocker the enemy has ever deployed. Because it is invisible, because it feels like honesty, because it sounds like wisdom, because most people who commit it every day believe they are simply being realistic. That should disturb you. Because if the sin looks like realism and sounds like honesty, how would you ever know you were committing it? That is exactly the question I want burning in your mind right now. Because the answer is coming. And when it arrives, I want you ready to receive it completely. Let me tell you about a man named Thomas. Thomas was a 47-year-old accountant, not a man who feared numbers, a man who managed other people's money for a living. He balanced budgets. He advised clients. He was, by every professional measure, financially competent. But his own account had sat at almost the same balance for 11 consecutive years. Same income, same stress, same distance between what he earned and what remained. He came to me and said, "Rabbi, I don't understand. I give 10%. I work 60 hours a week. I pray every morning. Why is nothing moving?" I asked him one question. "Tell me about your day from the moment you wake up." And within 3 minutes, I had heard everything I needed to hear. Before he had finished his first cup of coffee that morning, he had said, his own words, that he repeated to me, "The market is terrible right now. Clients never pay on time. You can't get ahead no matter what you do. I have no idea how I'm going to cover everything next month." 4 declarations. Before 9 in the morning. By the time he arrived at my office, he had said variations of those 4 things approximately 20 times. To his wife, to a colleague, to himself, silently, driving across the bridge. He was not lying. Every word was accurate, but every word was a seed. And he had been planting those seeds, in that same soil, for 11 years. And he was confused about why his harvest never changed. Now, I promised you the name. And here it is. The sin is ingratitude. But before you relax, before you say, "Oh, I'm grateful, I thank God, I say blessings before meals," let me tell you what ingratitude actually is. Because it is not what most people think. Ingratitude is not the absence of a prayer. Ingratitude is the declaration of scarcity as your reality. Every time you say, "I never have enough," you are declaring scarcity. Every time you say, "Money is always tight," you are agreeing with lack and commanding it to remain. Every time you look at what is absent in your life and speak it, instead of looking at what is present and declaring it, you are practicing ingratitude. And in Torah law, practiced ingratitude is not merely a character flaw. It is a spiritual mechanism that seals the channel of abundance with the precision of a lock. The Israelites in the desert received manna from heaven, miraculous provision, appearing fresh every morning, exactly what was needed, never too much and never too little. And they looked at the manna, this daily miracle, and complained about it. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons. They were comparing their miraculous present with a romanticized memory of their enslavement. And that practice, that daily declaration of insufficiency in the face of provision, kept a nation wandering for 40 years. Not 40 days, 40 years, a generation. I want you to feel the weight of that. 40 years of delay, not because God abandoned them, not because they failed to work or plan or sacrifice, because they violated the spiritual law of gratitude every single day, and the law responded with precision. Now I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, "Rabbi, I'm not complaining. I'm being realistic. I'm describing my situation as it actually is. I hear this every time I teach this principle, and I want to give you my full answer. There is no neutral declaration in the spiritual realm. None. Every statement you make about your financial life is either a declaration of faith or a declaration of fear, either a seed of abundance or a seed of scarcity. The spiritual law does not examine your intention. It does not ask whether you meant to plant that seed. It responds to what you declared. And you have been declaring, in conversations, in complaints, in internal monologue, your current limitation as your permanent reality. And the law has been faithfully producing exactly what you declared. This is why two people can be in identical external circumstances, same income, same debt, same opportunities, and one begins to flourish while the other remains stuck. The external variables are equal. The internal declaration is not. And the law responds to the internal declaration, not the external circumstance. Now let me show you what happens when this changes. When someone stops violating this law, and what the timeline actually looks like. I told you about Thomas. After we spoke, I gave him one instruction. Not a ritual, not a prayer list. One instruction. For 21 days, every time he was about to speak a complaint about money, to anyone, including himself, he was to stop, catch it before it left his mouth, and replace it with this statement. I am grateful for every dollar that moves through my hands. That is it. Nothing more. He thought it was too simple. He came back in 40 days. A client had settled an 18-month outstanding invoice, without a lawyer, without pressure, without warning. A second client, someone who had been delaying a contract for 6 months, signed and paid the first installment the same week. Thomas told me, Rabbi, nothing changed externally. I didn't do anything different professionally, but something shifted, and the things that were frozen began to move. That is the law responding, not to his effort, to his declaration. Let me give you another story, because one example is not enough to anchor this. Sandra was a 38-year-old nurse working double shifts in a hospital for 6 years. She was exhausted, underpaid, and spending every commute home listening to podcasts about how nurses deserved better, which they do. But every podcast she consumed reinforced the same declaration. You are underpaid. The system is unfair. You will never get ahead in this profession. She believed all of it, and she was planting it daily. When Sandra began working with this principle, not changing her profession, not relocating, not acquiring new credentials, just changing what she declared aloud about her financial life, something happened at day 33. A private clinic she had applied to 2 years earlier and been rejected from, reached out to her. Not because she applied again, because they had a position open and her name was still in their system. Same qualifications, different spiritual state. She accepted. Her income increased by 60% in 1 month. I want to stop here for a moment, because I know there is someone watching this right now who is carrying a specific financial burden. Something you haven't told anyone. Something that wakes you up at 3 in the morning. Something you've been praying about but haven't seen move. If that is you, I want you to write your first name in the comments right now. Just your name. I read every comment. I pray over every name that comes through this channel. You are not watching this by accident. You were directed here. And if you are ready to declare that this channel is opening, write in the comments, open channel. That is not just a comment. That is a public declaration. And in Torah law, a public declaration carries greater spiritual weight than a private one. Write it. Do it now, while the teaching is still active in you. Now, let me explain the mechanism at a deeper level. Because I don't want you to follow this teaching by faith alone, I want you to understand why it works. Because when you understand the mechanism, you cannot unsee it. And once you cannot unsee it, the change becomes irreversible. In Torah wisdom, there is a principle that the channel through which blessing flows must be actively maintained by the one who receives it. Maintained, not earned. Not built. Maintained. When you receive any provision, any at all, even small, and you acknowledge it with a spoken declaration of gratitude, you expand the channel. You widen it. More can come through. When you receive that same provision and declare it insufficient, you constrict the channel. You narrow it. Less can come through the next time. And when you do this repeatedly, for months, for years, the channel narrows to almost nothing. And then you look at your life and say, where did the blessings go? They didn't go anywhere. The channel was sealed. By you. By your daily declarations. With complete unconscious precision. This is the mechanism. And it is as impersonal as gravity. The law does not punish you. It simply responds to what you plant. The good news, and there is good news, is that a channel that was sealed can be reopened. The law works in both directions. The same precision that sealed it can open it. And the method for doing that is coming right now. Here is the method. It is not complicated. It has 4 components. It takes less than 10 minutes each morning. But it requires 7 consecutive days without interruption. If you miss a day, you begin again from day 1. Not as punishment. Because 7 days of unbroken practice is what is required to shift the pattern of declaration that has been running in your life for years. You cannot undo a decade of ingratitude in 2 or 3 days. You need 7. Complete. Unbroken. You do this every morning, before you check your phone, before you open your messages, before you speak to anyone in your household, before the world enters your mind. This is a practice of first fruits. You give the first moments of your day to this. That is not negotiable, because the morning is when your spiritual state is most malleable. And what you plan in those first minutes sets the tone of the entire day's declaration. The first step is the written gratitude declaration. You take a piece of paper, physical paper, not a phone note, not a laptop document. Physical paper, and you write 3 financial blessings you currently have. Not blessings you want, not goals, things you currently have. If you have a roof over your head, that is a blessing. Write it. If you ate yesterday, that is a blessing. Write it. If you have any form of income, even income you are unhappy with, that is a blessing. Write it. Then you read those 3 things aloud. You speak them with your mouth. The act of writing engages your hand and your mind. The act of speaking engages your mouth and your breath. Together, they create a compound spiritual act, and the law responds to compound acts more powerfully than to single ones. The second step is the cancellation declaration. After you write and read your gratitude, you speak aloud, not silently, with your actual voice, the following: every declaration of scarcity that I have made with my mouth, I cancel today. I no longer agree with lack. My channel is open. My provision flows. You say this as though it is already true, because in spiritual law, you declare what you are establishing, not what you are waiting to see. The declaration precedes the manifestation. Always. The third step is one act of generosity. Every single day of the 7 days, you give something. It does not have to be money, though if you have $1 you can give it. It can be your time. A phone call to someone who is struggling financially and speaking encouragement over them. A meal shared with someone who needs it. A kind word declared over someone else's situation. I believe your breakthrough is coming, spoken sincerely. Generosity is the physical proof that you believe in abundance. You cannot declare open channels while living in hoarding. The declaration must be matched by action. The action confirms the declaration, and the law responds to the combination. The fourth step is the evening review. Before you sleep, before you close your eyes, you speak aloud one acknowledgement of something that moved positively in your day. If something shifted financially, name it. A client paid. A discount appeared. An unexpected offer came. If nothing moved financially, acknowledge something else that was provided. Your health, your safety, the food you ate, the shelter that stood over you. You do not go to sleep having spoken nothing about your day except its problems. You end the day with your mouth open in gratitude. Because what you declare before sleep is what you plant through the night. And the morning harvest begins with the seed you planted before you closed your eyes. Now I want to be completely honest with you about the cost of this practice. Because it is real, and I will not pretend it is easy. 7 consecutive days means 7 mornings of choosing to do this. Even on mornings when you don't feel it. Even on mornings when the account hasn't moved. Even on day 3, when circumstances around you are louder than your declaration and the temptation to return to complaint feels almost reasonable. The method does not ask for your feelings. It asks for your declaration. Because feelings follow circumstances. Declarations create circumstances. The discipline is this. You must choose, every morning for 7 days, to declare what you believe, not what you currently see. That is the practice. And most people will hear this. They will agree with it. They will feel something stir in them while I explain it. And then they will close this video, get in their car, and within 45 minutes they will have said 3 things about money that contradict everything they just heard. And in 30 days, they will be in the same place. Not because the law doesn't work, because they did not apply it. I am not saying that to be harsh. I am saying it because I need you to take this seriously. Because this is not a suggestion. This is a law. And the cost of violating it has already been visible in your life for longer than you want to admit. For those who apply it, all 7 days, without interruption, here is the pattern I have seen consistently. In the first 3 days, nothing visible changes externally, but something internal shifts. A reduction in financial anxiety. A moment of unexpected peace that comes without explanation. A sense that something has been released. That is the channel beginning to reopen. Between day 4 and day 7, something moves. An unexpected contact. An old invoice paid. A new opportunity appearing from a direction you were not watching. Not always dramatic, but unmistakable. Specific enough that you know it was not coincidence. Within 30 days, the financial pattern of your life begins to shift in measurable ways. Not because the market changed, not because you got lucky, because your spiritual state changed, and the law of abundance began to respond to what you were declaring rather than what you were complaining about. What I taught you today is one principle, one law. There are layers beneath this, principles that govern the timing of financial breakthrough, the size of the vessel you have prepared to receive abundance, the relationships in your life that either amplify or diminish what flows to you. In the next teaching, I am going to reveal something that disturbed me deeply when I first encountered it. There is a specific window of time, less than 30 minutes each day, when the spiritual laws governing abundance are most active and most accessible. Most people are asleep during it. Those who are awake during it and who use it with intention experience results that look, from the outside, like extraordinary luck. But it is not luck. It is law. Be here for that teaching. Because once you have the channel open from what you learned today, you will need to know how to maximize what flows through it. If this teaching clarified something you have been carrying, if it named something you have been doing without realizing it, I want to hear from you. Write in the comments, open channel. That is your public declaration. That is your spiritual commitment. And if you are carrying a specific financial situation right now, a debt, a blocked opportunity, a need that hasn't been met, write your first name. Just your first name. I will read it. I will pray over it. You are not watching this by accident. Every name that comes through these comments is prayed over. I take that seriously. And if this channel has been bringing something real into your financial and spiritual life, I want to ask you to subscribe. Not for the platform, not for the numbers, but because what is coming in the next teachings requires that you be present for the full sequence. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Stay close. The principle you receive today is the foundation, and what is being built on top of it is something that will change the language of your life permanently. May your channel be open from this day forward. May every declaration that leaves your mouth be a seed of abundance. May the years of complaining be canceled, and may what was held back begin to move, today and in the days that follow. May you experience the shift that comes when the spiritual law of provision is finally aligned with your obedience. May your harvest be visible. May your family see it. May it arrive with evidence that cannot be explained by strategy alone. Shalom, my friend. Until next time.